Good morning, everyone. We are here to discuss about encapsulation. So what is encapsulation? Encapsulation is in use in Java to hide the implementation details from user. One of the four fundamentals, OOP concepts. The other three are inheritance, polymorphism, and abstraction. Refers to the bundling of data along with the methods that operate on the data into a single unit. Encapsulation is known as data hiding. So, if a data member is private, it means it can only be accessed within the same class. No outside class can access private data member variable of other class. However, if we set up public getter and setter methods to update and read the private data fields, then the outside class can access those private data fields via public methods. This way, data can only be accessed by public methods, thus making the private fields and their implementation hidden for outside classes. That's why encapsulation is known as data hiding. And to achieve encapsulation, we need to declare the variables of a class as private. Also, provide public setter and getter methods to modify and view the variable values. Encapsulation is like a capsule. The whole code and data is bounded together into a single unit. And another way to think about encapsulation is it a protective shield that prevents the data from being accessed by the code outside the shield. As you can see, variables and methods are defined inside one class like a capsule. But the question is, why do we need encapsulation? The main reason are first, better control of class attributes and methods. Second, class attributes can be made read-only or write-only. Third, it makes Java code very flexible. This means the programmer can change one part without affecting other parts. Apart from this, encapsulation is mainly used to protect data and increase security of the code. As you can see, to protect the data, variables must be private, and they can only be accessed through methods. Now, let's see Java code for encapsulation to understand the concept better.
Encapsulation example. First, to use encapsulation, we need to declare the attribute as a private because when the modifier in our attribute is private, it can no longer be accessible in another class or accessed outside of the class, meaning it can only be opened in own class. So we can see here the practical example of encapsulation. So makita na to sa example nga ang class naka-capsule. Na ato makita, the user ID, username, and the first name and last name is private. So, the attribute was hidden and that make the class prevent from being accessed by the outside class or direct access by the outsider.
Getters and setters are methods used to protect your data and make your code more secure. Getters returns the value accessors. It returns the value of data type, sorry. It returns the value of data type int, string, double, float, and etc. For the convenience of the program, getter starts with the word get, followed by the variable name. Next is setters. Sets or updates the value or mutators. It sets the value for any variable which is used in the programs of a class and starts with the word set, followed by the variable name.
Hi, good day everyone. I am GEOVANNE DAGANATO. I'm reporting all about types of encapsulation. There are three types of encapsulation. First, data member encapsulation. Data member encapsulation can be defined as private members of the class. Setters and getters method should be used by an object that wants to change or retrieve the value of the data members. Encapsulation, also known as data hiding, is the mechanism whereby the explanation details of the class are kept hidden from the user. The user can only perform as a restricted set of operation of the hidden members of the class by executing special function commonly called by methods. And they are the example of data. First, application types data. This data generated by the user. And the second, presentation types data. Data provided will be encrypted. And the third, season types data. Season ID will be added to the data. Fourth, transport types segments and the diagram. TCP and the UDP header will be added to the data. TCP meaning is the segments and the UDP meanings is diagram. And fifth, the network types packets. Packets ID header will be added to the data. And the sixth, data length types frames. MAC address headers will be added to the data. And the last, physical types bit. All data will be changed to the bit that the physical layer can understand. And the second example of types of encapsulation, the second, method encapsulation. Method encapsulation, we can hide method use the internal implementation that does not need to be invisible of the public. The method should be declared as a private so that the user does not have access to it. And the last example, class encapsulation. Class encapsulation contains an internal implementation of the class, the store and the process specific information. We encapsulated that class by defining it as private, the hiding it from user access. Their classes should not be included in any public interface.
Access modifiers in encapsulation. Public. All objects can access the data. Protected. Access is limited to members of the same class or descendants. Private. Access is limited to members of the same class. No modifier can access attributes or methods within your class and from all the classes within the same package.
Accessibility metrics. Here, you can see an overview of different access modifiers in the accessibility of the attributes or methods. Advantages of encapsulation. Increase code reusability. It increases code reusability by providing public well-defined service methods so that the rule of object becomes clear to other objects. In other words, having well-defined interfaces from a software development perspective, it allows other programmers to understand our code and reuse it in other applications quickly. Increasing robustness. Encapsulation reduces system complexity and thus increases robustness by allowing programmers to limit the interdependencies between software components. Better code maintenance. Using encapsulation, code changes can be made independently without affecting other classes. In other words, the method is described in single location rather than multiple locations. We simply need to know what outcome a method will produce and when to use it. Data security and information hiding. Only the object's own method can directly inspect or manipulate its data. So encapsulation hides the internal of the objects and protects its integrity by preventing users from setting the internal data of the component into an invalid or inconsistent state. So, it ensures the security of class data or access of data outside of the class and methods by using proper access modifiers. Improves code clarity and comprehensibility. Looking at the whole program, we may have many objects, each exposing a simple interface to other objects and keeping the details of its own implementation hidden. With all objects following this strategy, we escape the complex trap of writing debugging large program. In simple words, encapsulation helps us in unit testing and debugging a code. The programmer will least likely waste time in debugging because all interrelated data members and methods are in one section of the code, and the rest of the code is irrelevant to that class.
How is information hidden via encapsulation programming? Encapsulation in object-oriented programming allows developers to bundle data and methods together, but it can also be used to hide sensitive data that should be not exposed to users. In the Java programming language and any other languages, information hiding is controlled using getter, setter methods for data attributes that will be readable or may be updated by other classes.
Encapsulation is one of the core components in object-oriented programming and describes the bundling of data and methods operating on this data into one unit. It is often used to implement an information hiding mechanism. This mechanism reduces the accessibility of attributes to the current class and uses of public getter and setter methods to control and restrict external access to these attributes. This method allows you to define which attributes can be read, update, and enable you to validate the new value before changing the attributes. That's all. Thank you.